nothing pleasures me more than to see what?
Sweat.
Astaghfirullah. La ilaha illallah. Tashkent.
Respect. Any questions?
No, not sure.
Sure comes out.
Ahsanallahu ilayk.
We got questions.
Listen, now I'll carry you home safely.
Fadda.
Kareem KB, Montreal. A young revert wants to marry a Muslim, but his parents aren't conscious of his reversion to Islam. What is permissible for him to do with the young woman in the meantime?
Bismillah. First question comes from Montreal. A young revert wants to marry a Muslim sister, but the young revert's family are unaware of his reversion to Islam. What's lawful in the meantime? You get to know the sister. You get to acquaint yourself with the sister. Ba'dul acquaintance, yani. Not full acquaintance, right? This is who I am. This is what I am. La, not 100%. Huh? A percentage of that. Huh? Not everything, right? She can't know everything, what? About you. Not yet. Inshallah. So therefore, be objective. I want to get to know you if we're compatible for marriage. These are based off of intention. If you want to play around, laugh, joke, do this, say this, that's one thing. But if you actually want to get married, then you ask the right questions. You'll discuss, have the proper discussions, and if in the night, Ta'ala, when you feel the time is right, you put your trust in Allah and you get married. Wallahu alam.
Oman, OH, London, UK. When offering salah, can I make dua in English during kunut? If not, then can I remain seated and silent during kunut and make dua in my heart? Can I do the same while in sujood?
Jazakallahu khairan. The advice that I've given years ago, and I continue to give this same advice, no language should be used in any prayer except for the Arabic language. Different scholars allow different du'as, different supplications to be made in one's native language. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that's a bad idea. And that the teachings of the salah are in the Arabic language, and the communication that you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your salah should be the Arabic language. As far as dua outside of prayer, tafaddal. Say in whatever language you wish. But the fard prayer and the nafil prayer should be kept in English. If there's something that you absolutely want to ask Allah for in the prayer, and you don't know Arabic, you're struggling, you're not that good, then learn the prophetic supplication for that. And say that in the prayer, whether it be qunut, whether it be sajda, whether it be at the end of the tashahhud before the taslim, etc. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Abu Kitten, AK, Bloomington, Minnesota. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. Do you think getting an online Arabic tutor is a good idea, or do you recommend self-study whilst in the beginning stages? What to look for in a tutor?
Yes, getting a tutor is a great idea. In person and or online. What to look for? I would say the first thing to look for a tutor is professionalism. It shouldn't be someone that's going to teach you for free. It's someone that should be blunt, bold. I will tutor you with this payment. Because when money is on the table, that in itself already proves the level of professionalism. That proves the level of professionalism. You have a free consultation, 15 minutes with a lawyer. Anything after that, you got to pay. And people look at it as a bad thing, but it's a good thing. Now, due to the fact that you're paying, you can now demand certain things from this teacher. And you know that the teacher's going to show up based off of the agreements of him being financially compensated. So if he's a tutor, as far as a brother helping you on the side, that's a different story. In the masjid, not us. But you want an actual professional on-the-clock tutor, it should be someone that you're going to take their time seriously and vice versa. And of course, they should know what they're doing with regards to the Arabic language. They should have something to show for their years of teaching and tutoring. These are the students that study with me. Look at them. These are the people's testimonies on my website. وهكذا. Wallahu a'lam. Fadl Hamza.
بارك الله فيك يا شيخ. What's the ruling on يعني speaking broken or Yemeni Arabi in the dua?
You can speak broken Yemeni or Arabic in the dua that you make. But in the prayer, nothing but al-lugha al-arabiya al-fusha should be mentioned. End of discussion. If a person doesn't know fusha, all they speak is, dadij or whatever, learn the dua in the prayer. Allahumma inni as'aluka fusha. That's it. As far as the dua that you make outside of the prayer, you can make it in any language or dialect that you wish to. Wallahu a'lam. Fadal.
Mufti, so if you're praying on like 2 rakat nafil and you want to do istikhara for multiple things, like are you allowed, let's say in every sajda, you do an istikhara for, different things that you want an answer for?
If you're making istikhara and you want to ask Allah for several things, you make istikhara for several things. If you are going to make salatul istikhara, then based off of that hadith, ثُمَّ يُسَمِّي حَاجَتَهُ, you should mention your need, one thing. As far as if you're asking Allah for guidance, not salatul istikhara, you're making general istikhara. Oh Allah, guide me, allow me to make the decision. Ask Allah for whatever you wish, how you wish, how many things that you like. But if you're making the actual formal prayer, then one thing is best, inshallah. Wallahu a'lam.
Habib Ahmed, HA, Philly, Pennsylvania. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. Do you think it's an obligation or beneficial for Muslims to boycott companies like Starbucks?
Do I think it's an obligation or benefit for Muslims to boycott companies like Starbucks, etc.? In general, I think it's obligatory for Muslims to boycott many companies and corporations and people, not just Starbucks. But the problem comes when our moral compass is only navigating after or during something. How did they become so powerful to bomb all of those Muslims? Except for the fact that you were supporting, I should say for argument's sake, Starbucks right now, you were paying all of that money for all of that time. So you shouldn't have been spending on whatever company it is contributing to them purchasing those bombs, let alone they actually bombed the Muslims. Now I'm going to boycott. Now I'm going to say don't support these people. You're not supposed to be supporting them, period. And if you do have to buy something from a company, the concept of the company only becomes as powerful as you allow it. To pay $7 for a cup of coffee in every airport, every corner, every town, every this, every that, in which you become a slave of that company, and you allow them to stick their fangs into your flesh as a consumer, and you become a victim of consumerism. That's a problem in it by itself. So you can't just become aware and conscious just because they tell you to become aware and conscious. That's number one. Number two, if you're going to boycott Starbucks or Wendy's for having blue and white wrappers or whatever the case may be, etc., then you're going to have to boycott other companies as well. And it shouldn't just be one bad guy that you pick. Let alone the fact that, is it wise and is it smart for you to spend $7, $5 on a cup of coffee when you can get another type of cup of coffee and give the rest for sadaqah? So that in itself is a problem, the consumerism, all right? At the end of the day, a part of the depression that we suffer from is that you boycott Starbucks and Wendy's and Amazon and Canon and this company, that company. Well, we pay taxes. And our government isn't shy. They're not hiding what they're willing and what they are sending there. And out of the entire world, listen to this statistic. Israel receives 30% of the United States international aid to different countries. Think how small that country is. And that's a third, almost a third. That's 30% out of a 100% pie chart. So just think about the continent of Africa, South America, Mexico, the Caribbean. Think about Asia, think about Russia, think about all of those lands and countries. And they get 30% of that foreign aid. You know how much money that is every year? That's not talking about this specific bill, this veto, just 30% annually. That's not including what they get from the UK, what they get from France, what they get from Germany. You're talking an unbelievable budget for the standard of living, let alone war budget. So if we want to boycott this company and boycott that company, but we're still paying taxes, we're still living in the lands that is openly, publicly, blindly giving all support, what are you really doing? That's a sad reality, and it's a depressing reality. What are you doing? Okay, you boycotted Starbucks, but you paid your taxes this year. Allah Musta'an. And that's a part of the whole entire war and the conflict of Palestine and of Israel and of Zionism. They made their move when they already knew certain things. The state of the Muslims, the state of the Arabs, the state of the Ottomans. They knew these different things. They knew certain moves that they were going to be able to make because of the situation. Because this country rebelled against that country. Because these people, these Arabs, they want to be separate from this empire. Because this king, this chieftain, he wants his own. So they knew that he was going to turn a blind eye. They knew that he wasn't. They knew that this country that did disagree didn't have the strength, didn't have the muscle, didn't have the political pull to make a difference. You can boo-hoo and cry all you want. We both know our lawyers, our politicians are strong. You don't have no legal economic strength. So it doesn't matter whether you can call us whatever you want to. We're taking this land and you're not going to do anything about it. And the people that can do something about it, they're either working with us, we have them in our back pockets, or we have dirt on them and they owe us. So it's Allah Musta'an. And that's the reality of the situation, whether you like it or not. You can dream, you can fantasize, you can hope, you can have your little delusions, but that's the reality of the situation. They know that this current situation of the Middle East. People say, if all the Arab countries, if the Muslim countries came together, but they're not going to. And they know that they are not going to come together. If they wanted to come together, it would be no Israel. Don't you get it? They were divided against each other, hating each other from back then. And it left them to their fate as they leave the people in Gaza, what? To their fate, to this very day. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. So geopolitical interests comes before religion, comes before race, comes before friendship. What my country is going to get out of this, what my country is going to benefit, and what my country is going to lose if I dare to open my mouth and speak out against them, let alone pick up a weapon against them. Allah Musta'an. May Allah help us all. It's a very sad situation. Fadal.
Jadida H, JH, Brooklyn, New York. What is the difference between saying Insha'Allah and Bi'idhnillah? Jazakallah khairan.
Well, yeah, I'm saying Inshallah will be Bi'idhnillah at times is synonymous. If Allah wills, by Allah's permission. Nothing will happen unless Allah wills it, and nothing will happen by Allah's permission. There may be instances and times, especially when we speak about Quranic passages, in which there could be differences. Wallahu a'lam.
Kareem KB, how does a young weaver go about telling parents that they're Muslim with the possibility of facing radical reactions or worse, disowning?
Telling your parents about your reversion to Islam, fear of them retaliating or etc., 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 kicking you out, harming you, etc. A part of me says the best way is to just be open in public. Just like that. I'm a Muslim. I can't eat this. I can't do this. I can't pray. That's it. Just like that. They're going to get mad. They're going to get upset no matter what you do, no matter how you try to hide it or sneak it or whatever. They're going to find out. So just be upfront with it. And bear the consequences by putting your trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But of course, another part of me says everyone isn't, in that, some people actually have, actual fear that my fanatical parents may kill me or, etc. So use hikmah, use wisdom. Use wisdom. And then see, you have a great example of times in which you may have to hide for the greater good. Wallahu a'lam. Hamza.
أحسن الله إليكم يا شيخ. Let's say if you come in the masjid either for Jum'ah, the 5 daily salahs, and the sheikh starts making the dua kunut. You know how you, like last rak'ah you make dua for Palestine, what they do nowadays, and you come to the masjid and he does the dua in English, or you're praying and he does the dua in English. Do you get out the salah or what do you do?
Follow him. Finish, inshallah. Give him advice. The safest thing to do is to make it in Arabic. And if you can't say the words in Arabic, learn the prophetic dua. Memorize it by heart. Which is the best way of making qunut, period. Many people that make these romantic, long, extended du'as in qunut. Wallahu musta'an. Once again, before we take the next question, looking at the atlas, if you look at, well, obviously, I'm sorry, this atlas actually says Palestine. This one does. Yeah, this doesn't say Israel. This is a little outdated, or this is anti-Semitic atlas, huh? Yeah, this one actually says Jerusalem, Gaza, Haifa, Tel Aviv. Anyhow, at the end of the day, if you look at the country or the lands now that's called Israel, just look. I mean, this is the answer to everything, in my opinion. Boycotting, will it be World War III? Where the other Muslims, where the other countries join, Iran, Turkey? Just look at the map. Just look at the map. To the right of Israel, you have Jordan, directly, sharing a border with Jordan. To the north, you have Syria, Lebanon. To the southwest, there's Egypt. Then, obviously, to the west, there is the Mediterranean Sea. And to the north, there is Turkey. Beyond Jordan, there's Saudi Arabia, and then there's Iraq, let alone Iran, etc., 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 etc. Just think about that now. For them to say this is where the Jewish homeland is going to be, in this land, in this area, with these borders, surrounded by all of these people, that in itself tells you everything. And to this very day, what it's surrounded by, that in itself tells you what? Everything. That you are powerless. You don't have the guts. And if you do have the guts, you don't have the muscle to do nothing. And if you did have the guts, and if you did have the muscle, we wouldn't what? Be here. That's geographically now. I'm not talking about no other stuff, religion, but just geographically. Once again, every single country in the land, with exceptions to the far west, the Mediterranean. How would that work on the streets? I mean, if I came up, right, and took over a corner or a house, and trapping, right, and trapping all day, right? I come over, I take over this. This is our operation now. A building, a block, whatever it is, right? To this corner is a rival gang. To another corner is the people that I shot up and, took it from them, took their fees, took their money, took their work. I'm surrounded by all of these different rival people that are hostile against me. I took their money. I shot your cousin. I did this. I took this. I violated this. I'm publicly, openly, fragrantly disrespecting you or this, and that. And I'm still there every day making money, hustling. That's proof that your heart has already been what?
Taken.
It's gone. I wouldn't be here. I'm vastly outnumbered, outmanned, outgunned. But I know that you're this and you ain't gonna do nothing. And if you could have done something, if you wanted to do something, we wouldn't be sitting here making all this money on your corner right now.
They plotted beforehand.
Fuck.
Oman, LH, London, UK. Ali, Columbia, Ohio. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is it permissible to attend protests, specifically the recent protests of Palestine?
Like we just explained, right, Hamza? Tayyib. Al-Muhim. Some protests are lawful. Some protests may be obligatory. And other protests may be disliked. Some protests or some aspects of protesting, for sure, are haram. So it depends. These are based off of intentions. What are you protesting for? What are you doing? What are you involved in? What are you calling to? But one thing's for sure, as we've said over a month ago, is that we have to do something. We have to say something. But to just sit back and say nothing is totally unacceptable. In my humble opinion, Islamically. You're talking about Islamic scholastics, for you to say nothing? Nothing? Don't do anything? Don't read nothing? Let alone the fact that those of us, unfortunately, who are saying bad things about the brothers and sisters in Gaza and in the West Bank. Bad things about Hamas, condemning them, saying they're this, they're that. So it's their fault. They're terrorists. They're Khawarij. They had no business shooting rockets into Israel. It's their fault. They're responsible for the 12,000 Palestinians that are dead, etc., etc., etc. And that we will support Israel, stand behind it. We will send our warplanes. We will give them food. We will give them such and such. And anyone who dares to shoot a rocket through our airspace, we will come together in solidarity against these filthy Houthi rebels in Yemen. Look how sad that is. So let's say for argument's sake, the Houthis, for argument's sake, for argument's sake, they're filthy, they're dirty, they're Shia, they're Rafida, they're Khawarij, they're this and that. All right, no problem. But don't you have any courage? You're not going to say anything against the person who's slaughtering all your brothers? Forget faith, Islam. You're Arab people. You're not going to say nothing against them? You're not going to stand up to them? You're not going to frown at them? But you have enough guts and enough courage to come together to threaten these people in Yemen. That in itself is atrocious, wallahi. We can unify for that, but we can't unify for what? Allah musta'an.
Oman, LH, London, UK. Is robbing a criminal, such as a drug dealer, and taxing him for his dirty, illegal money as bad and as sinful as robbing a regular civilian for their lawful, clean, hard-earned money?
No, it's not. If you rob the drug dealer, if you tax the drug dealer, if you made a drug dealer in London play the jizya, is that as bad as extorting or taking the money from a normal law-abiding citizen? No, it's not. And obviously the question is specific. They're not saying it is halal, but it's saying is it as sinful? Of course not. Wallahu a'lam.
Lee, LA, UK, Birmingham. I want to start memorizing Quran again, but I feel like I may fall into certain sins.
West.
I've been trying to abstain.
Next question. That's West.
Okay.
The moment you mention the word, I fear. About doing a good deed, trying to get closer to Allah, that's automatic West from Shaitan. Fadda.
Hamid Ahmed, HA, Philly, Pennsylvania. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. What's the ruling on Muslims downing or mocking another Muslim, claiming they got physically jumped?
Say the question again, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. What's the ruling on Muslims downing or mocking another Muslim, claiming they got physically jumped?
I don't understand the question.
Attacked. Making fun of a Muslim who got beat up.
Making fun of a Muslim that got beat up?
You got jumped.
Claiming that he got beat up.
Or you got jumped. They whooped you.
Well, I'm starting.
You got whooped
I
hard.
mean, what's the point of making fun of a Muslim? No matter what the circumstance of the situation. Like, there's other people you can make fun of. Be merciful to the Muslims, right?
Sister Eleonora, MS Gatton, New Canada. How to mentor Muslim teenage girls, how to guide them to seek wisdom and guidance amidst all the fitan and confusion of this world. Jazakallah khairan.
Well, Yaakov, mentoring female teenage girls or female teenagers, for lack of a better wording. My first advice is to lead by example. You want your daughter to wear hijab, you gotta wear it. You want your daughter to pray, you want your daughter to fast, you want your daughter to be righteous, you have to be righteous. And you gotta pray for your daughters. Pray for them. Make dua for them. Many parents, they don't make dua for their children. You gotta ask Allah to guide them. And I would say, if you wanted some practical advice, you have to show them the consistent nature between success and failure, between reward and punishment. That whenever you do the right thing in your deen, you're gonna see the reward. You'll see the benefit. And when you do the wrong thing in your deen, you're gonna see the harm. And how the deen always overflows and overlaps to the dunya. That's a fact. Anyone who's doing the right thing in the deen properly, he's going to benefit in the dunya. He's going to get the opportunity. He's going to go here. He's going to get this. She's going to find a husband. So much good is going to come to you in the world just from the hayat, just from the deen. Story other night, I was in a gas station, right? So I'm trying to, buy a few things. I was buying a Coca-Cola and a Hershey bar with almonds, right? So on a sugar rush or a caffeine rush, whatever you want to call it, right? So I walked to the aisle to get a Coke. And I hear this guy talking to, another guy. So the guy was like, yeah, we don't have love in the world, blah, 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 blah. I ain't minding my business. So the guy he was talking to was, whatever, non-Muslim, whatever. So I get my ice from my Coke and go to the counter. Guy starts talking to me. Gives me a fist pump. I can see that he's drunk. He's sweating. He smells alcohol and he's a little, but he's not like totally like twisted. So he starts speaking to me. I say, hey, how's it going? So he obviously can feel, and you can feel. So he's like, yeah, man, I studied Islam. I studied the Quran. I studied the Bible. Christ was sent to the Gentiles. He said, I've even studied Satanism. He said, I studied all the different religions and the ways of faith. I said, okay, interesting, cool. And he said, it's one thing that I got from my study of all of these religions. I said, what's that? He said, it is one ever powerful living God. That's my conclusion from the study of all of these Hinduism, Buddhism, is that there's only one God. All right? He's drunk, kafir now, white guy, right? I said, indeed, true indeed. So he looks at, what I'm getting. He says, that's all you get? And I'm like, yeah. He said, give me. I'm like, he said, let me pay for it. I said, no, man, it's cool. He said, come on, man, let me buy it. He said, the other day I didn't have a job. Today my net worth is such and such, blah, 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 blah. All right, no problem. So guy comes out from behind the counter. He starts ringing up the stuff. Guy's got some chips, some other stuff. He starts ringing up, and then my stuff is here on the side. So the drunk white kafir guy, he picks up my stuff and systematically gives it to the cashier. Like, include this in my bill. I'm buying this. This is my stuff. And he gives it to me. I said, thank you very much. So I walk out the gas station. So he's continuing to talk to me. Yeah, religion. Men have perverted the scripture. They've misinterpreted the words of God. The most important thing in any religion is your relationship with God. No one can come between you and God. Blah, 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 blah. Then he looks at me from top to toe and he says, I can tell that you're a man who studied. He said, I can see that you're a learned person of your religion. You've read about your religion. I said, well, So he starts going on rambling. He's drunk, so on and so forth. What's the moral of the story? Him acknowledging Tawheed after study of all of that stuff, even Satanism, subhanAllah. Him being comfortable enough to talk with me, wearing a thobe. Thobe is intimidating. You shouldn't wear a thobe. You should wear pants in your culture. He clearly saw me wearing this and he felt comfortable to talk to me and to converse with me. Or the moral of the story is I got a free Coke and a free Hershey bar because I was wearing a what? A thobe. You get the point or not? If I had on just pants and a shirt, I was just the average Joe. He wouldn't have. You get the point? So the moral of the story is that when you're practicing your deen, you will get worldly gain. So telling your children about college, about marriage, about career, about sports, about politics, about this and about that, friends, listen, just practice your deen and trust me, the world will come to you. You'll get everything that you need and Allah will take care of you. You just worry about your deen. So that's the greatest lesson to teach your teenagers. Never forget Allah. No one is bigger than Allah. No one is greater than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You fear Allah, you never have to fear another man in your life. You love Allah, you never have to worry about someone loving you or liking you. You put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll see countless doors opening in front of you. Wallah, you have to turn down offers when you are connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Ashia Al-Hashir, IE from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Was the ruling on working as a car salesman in which there is interest involved with the deals?
It depends what type of cars you're selling. You're selling lemons and eggs, then it's already not makruh haram. If you're selling a good car and you're being honest about it, then that's a different story. All jokes aside, this will be our last question tonight. At the end of the day, insurance, commercial insurance is the proper terminology to use because there's nothing wrong with insurance, the idea. But commercial insurance, Geico, Progressive, Allstate, Liberty, whatever the case may be, that's clearly problematic Islamically. But insurance is only one aspect of the whole entire financial economic system of this country, of the world. Federal Reserve Bank, so on and so forth. So there's certain things which are clearly haram. There's certain things which are clearly disliked or doubtful. But oftentimes there's no way around it. You don't have a choice. So you have to make the best out of the situation. All right. So if you have to work there, you try your best to avoid anything which is haram. You try your best to avoid the problematic things, but it's inescapable and unavoidable. And Muslims that need cars, they need places to buy cars. And oftentimes when Muslims are involved in these institutions and establishments, you can lessen the haram elements or the doubtful elements or the disliked elements. Nah? Wallahu ta'ala alam. Wa sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imam Muhammad. Subhanakallahumma hamdik. Shadu an la